Hey, I'm Keith Spira from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. My guest this week on Let's Talk is the one and only Vince Vance. Vince, if I wanted to get my hair like yours, how would I do that?
It's real easy. You think these thoughts, I can do this. Rise, hair, rise.
All right, we'll try that on the air this week on Let's Talk.
We're local and educational. You're watching WLAE-TV, celebrating 40 years of New Orleans public television.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villeries Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villeries provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villeries Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
CNC Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, CNC provides patient-centered care for your entire family. CNC Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, we'll cover all the home teams, Saints, LSU, Tulane, and Pelicans. Breaking it down, one of my favorite panels. I love having these guys on the program. Garland, Gillen of Fox 8 Sports, Guerry Smith of NOLA.com. Guys, welcome to the show. Good to have you guys back. Before we get started, I'd like to let folks know a lot about what's going on with your stations, your paper, but when Garland's here, I got to toss it to Garland because Garland's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So give us the rundown. Garland on the Avenue, what you got? I know you've been posting some new stuff. Let us know about all that. All the Fox 8
the Garland
stuff.
Gillen Show. I got Will Hall last week.
Yep.
It's been running on Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network. I appreciate Will giving me some time.
Mm-hmm.
We went over the transfer portal. He tackled the question I asked him about in his introductory presser, how he said there's people in the building and at that presser that didn't want him to be the head coach. So this is going to be a constant thing going on with Will there with the portal and everything, which I know we'll get into. So got the Garland Gillen Show on Gulf Coast right now. Garland the Avenue, whenever the moment hits me, I got some stuff going on there. And then Final Bet airs on Thursday nights. We got Scott Kushner on, so it's going to be a positive show. and Final Play is on Sunday night, which I have a Tyler Shuck interview that I taped on Tuesday. It's going to run in its entirety on Final Play on Sunday night. And then I got Football Food, which I'm going to write something this week.
All right. Any good restaurants?
Yeah, I went to Zazu the other day, which is Sue Zamanic's restaurant on Carrollton. She got a Michelin star for her restaurant. Right. It's fantastic. It's right by, right by Jesuit High School in that area where the old Friar Tuck's. I know Gary's from around here, so yeah. Right. So yeah, it's by the old Friar Tuck. So I went to Zazu last Saturday. It was awesome. I highly recommend it.
He can do it all. He's a Renaissance.
I'm hungry all the time.
He's a Renaissance man. There's no doubt. Yeah. Gary, welcome back to the show, bud.
Thanks for having me on. Zazu is, by the way, 5 blocks from my house.
Oh, there you go.
Terrific restaurant. I'll second that.
There you go.
They're not an underwriter, but they should be after this.
I don't have as many things going on now as I used to with the losing that rival site earlier last year, but obviously full-time at NOLA.com, full work, basketball, baseball, football, covering Tulane,
and it never stops.
That never ends.
Plus, again, you do a little stuff for the AP at times.
Cover the Saints for AP.
There you go. Good deal. Let's get started. Saints first. Again, Senior Bowl this week. man, it's just such a huge week and I talked about it yesterday in my monologue on the radio show. February is such a big month for both the Saints and the Pelicans. For the Saints, obviously right now, trying to get ready for free agency, which again will lead into the draft, the Senior Bowl, kind of getting your grades on that, the East-West Shrine game, and then of course, for the Pelicans, seeing what they're going to do on February 5th, which is next Thursday, when it comes to the trading deadline. For the New Orleans Saints, again, having so many coaches coaching the American team, I think that is, again, gives them a leg up on every other team out there in terms of being able to kind of know these players, get to know these players intimately in terms of their meetings, etc. Talk a bit about the coaches being there and your thoughts on the draft coming up.
Yeah, coaches were also there last year, and Jeff Ireland, did interviews yesterday with all the local TV stations in Mobile. That's when they started scouting Tyler Shuck. Was at the Senior Bowl last year. This is where they got his first look at him the first time they interviewed him. They had coaches last year out there. They got coaches this year out there. They got the entire scouting staff, which I think other NFL teams have some of their scouting staff and some of their coaches, but the Saints, it's an advantage being only a 2-hour drive from New Orleans. Depends how fast you drive, like I do, it's a 2-hour drive. But it definitely is an advantage, I think, for the New Orleans Saints. And Mickey Loomis talked to us yesterday, and he started fielding questions about free agency. So it starts to heat up already, but they have some big needs in the draft. One of the guys that I really like is not there, but there's definitely some guys to keep an eye on, including Garrett Nussmeier.
How big is the Senior Bowl for really for the Saints? They've taken advantage of that really, again, maybe since its inception, when the Saints' inception, rather.
It's big, and I've been the charter member of the Saints Skeptics Club ever since Sean Payton left, questioned all their decisions, questioned the drafting of Tyler Shuck, question the head coaching hire, question everything, and I'm coming around on all of these things. I'm as optimistic about this team as I've been since Sean Payton left. If they draft well this year, I think they can do some damage next year. And I halfway through this year even, I wouldn't have said that. But this is a team, the defense was far better than I ever would have imagined. Now they are old, but they played really well, shockingly well, honestly. Finished in the top 10 in the league in defense. Tyler Shuck, I think he was better. I don't think he should win Rookie of the Year because I don't think it's a half-year award. But in his half year, he was better than Jackson Dart was in his full year with the Giants. You won't hear that nationally. It's true. The Saints are in good position. They picked the right guys in this draft this year. They've got a chance next year.
Well, that's what. The last 2 drafts have been really good for this team. Again, kind of under the radar. But everybody talk about this draft, but again, the draft the year before was good as well. Only one player not on the roster from those 2 drafts. That's Ezra, who's now just signed with the Renegades of the UFL. When you look at this team right now, obviously free agency comes first, and then the draft. Saints obviously like to fulfill their needs in free agency and get best player available in the draft. Where do they go in free agency, in your opinion?
I would really like them to go offensive guards in free agency. If Roger Goodell goes to the podium in April in Pittsburgh in the number 8 overall pick, he names an offensive lineman, I'm gonna throw some against the wall. Like, I'm done. I've been to way too many drafts for the New Orleans Saints to have them draft an offensive lineman. I would like them to get a skill position player. I'd like them to get a receiver. I'd like to get them to get a running back. You have a running back room that is aging when it comes to Alvin Kamara. Taysom Hill probably out the door. But after that, you have a lot of unknowns, and Devin Neal, Audric Estime, and Kendra Miller, who's always injured. At receiver, you have Olave, who you might have to sign to an extension this offseason. But who do you really after that? Devon Bailey did look good. We'll see more. But after that, we need another. They need another breakout performer. So I love all these mock drafts. I reposted Daniel Jeremiah's the other day, and I said on Twitter that I'm only reposting mock drafts that have him taking a skill position player. And so when I saw that Daniel Jeremiah NFL Network had him taking Jeremiah Love, I hit the repost. Mel Kiper, I think had, I think he had Jordan Tyson. Like any of those guys, I'm fine with. I just do not. I want him to take offensive linemen in free agency. If they don't take as many second or third round offense on, not first round.
Agreed.
This makes for boring TV, but I agree with 100%.
All right, Gary, I like it.
Like, to the note, they're picking too high to pick another a guard. That's their biggest need. There's no question. As positive as I am on this team, they can't win with the interior line that they had this year. They cannot. But do it in free agency. You can't waste a pick that high with your track. You can't waste a pick on a guard that high, period.
Yeah.
They absolutely need better receivers. Chris Olave surprised me this year. Another guy I was a little skeptical of. He had I'm now believing he might be a #1 receiver. I never thought that before. Obviously, he's still one concussion away from concerns, but he made it through this year. You got to have more weapons than that. Running back, too, this was the first time I really felt like a lot of people felt like Alvin Kamara looked old a couple years. I did not agree with them. I agreed with them this year.
Right.
They definitely need help at the skill positions, and that's where I absolutely would want them to see to go in the draft and address that interior of the line in free agency.
We all agree. I mean, again, to me, free agency, you have to tackle the interior of the offensive line, the interior of the defensive line. You're going to spend some money in that area, and this draft has to be about building around Tyler Shuck. You've got to get offensive players. You've got to get explosive players with speed. Even on defense, they got to get faster. So again, when they're looking at this roster, they got to figure again. They got to get better. They got to get better, but they got to get faster on both sides of the ball. All right, let's talk about the how they're going to generate this money for the upcoming free agency period, and a lot of it depends on Jordan Davis re-signing. He'll, again, if he does retire, a post-June 1st a retirement there, and then of course either reworking or cutting Alvin Kamara. Those are again the keys to this upcoming free agency period. Cam Jordan sat down with Juan Kincaid this week. Also, again, Demario Davis was on the Kay Adams show yesterday. Jordan seems to be in the frame of mind where he wants to come back to New Orleans. He'd like to be here. Demario Davis put it out there yesterday that maybe again that if the money's not right, maybe he's elsewhere. They cannot afford to eat that dead money this year with Carr's dead money, Ramczak's dead money, and then of course adding now Hill's dead money to that salary cap. Do you think those guys, when I talk about Hill, I'm sorry, about Jordan and Davis, will be back? Do you think they'll work a deal out, incentive laden that'll keep him in New Orleans, or do you think they'll be elsewhere?
I think Cam Jordan comes back to the New Orleans Saints. I think he really cares about his legacy.
Okay.
And finishing out 1 year somewhere else, I don't know if that sounds enticing to him. But is there a huge market for a guy his age at defensive edge? I know he said he's not going to take a hometown discount. I mean, he did have double-digit sacks. So I think Cam Jordan definitely wants to come back to New Orleans. Demario Davis has been other places before, with Browns, Jets. His family had a medical emergency about a year or so ago, and a lot of his family doesn't even live here anymore, so he spends more of his time solo here in New Orleans. So I could understand where Demario might make a move somewhere else. I mean, he had the most tackles. He's
143.
Yeah,
his career.
And I understand there's probably going to be some people out there want him, and that's a tough decision for the Saints. So if you don't re-sign Demario Davis, that means you're rolling with Pete Werner and
Stutzman.
Yeah, and Danny Stutzman. And okay, I guess youth will be served. I feel like they might get priced out of the market on Demario. We'll see. That's going to be one to watch is on Demario. But I think Cam, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of bidders out there for Cam Jordan for pretty much. He's only got, one good year left?
He said
the way he talks,
he wants to play 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my doubts. I thought Cam Jordan was done. I thought he was
we
washed.
all did.
Yeah, and then he racked up 10.5 sacks this past year.
Wasn't that a lot with Staley, though? He played 50% of the snaps.
Yeah.
And he played defensive end. He had to play inside. Yeah. I mean, and also the emergence of Chase Young on the other side of him. He wasn't dealing with double teams this year. The best thing that can happen for him in his career to finish it out here, because again, if they can do a replay of what we saw this past year, he's going to be effective again next season.
And Carl Granderson, I thought, had a solid season, but Chase Young had one of his best seasons ever in his career. So, I think he likes what they have on the roster at defensive end. And then I really think that he is worried about his legacy. I mean, no one wants to see Emmitt Smith playing for the Arizona Cardinals. And you don't want to see that with him.
I agree. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a feeling Demario Davis will end up staying. I'm not sure how big the market's going to be for him either at his age. He had a terrific year. He showed no decline whatsoever, but will he get the money that he's in these decisions? It usually comes down to money. That's the reality of it. And I'm not sure that the market's going to be as high as he thinks it is as a 37-year-old.
Right.
Because guys can fall off a cliff pretty quickly, but the Saints need him. I mean, he's perfect for the system. He has showed no signs of slippage at all.
Right. Jordan, $18.76 million cap hit, dead money if he's done. Davis, $14.33 million. Taysom Hill, $13.72 million. When you talk about those guys, that's why again they have to work out a deal with again the two defensive players. Guys, a year ago we were talking about Jordan and Davis as they were done. Okay, how much of this is Staley's scheme that allowed them to really kind of regenerate their career?
Yeah, and remember Tyrann Mathieu, we were debating last offseason it was going to be the end of the line for him, and then he retired right before training camp commenced. So I think, Brandon Staley, that defense, when Cam Jordan, I know he loves to poke fun at the former defensive line coach that did him wrong. So
Grantham,
Grantham. Loves to take shots at Grantham. I mean, Dennis Allen was a great defensive coordinator also, but I think Brandon Staley is an up-and-coming, well, he already coached once before as a head coach, but I think this cycle he's not getting the interviews. Maybe down the line he will, but I think Brandon Staley might get another shot as a head coach. And I think with Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley, I think they have two dynamic coaches. Mickey Loomis said that they're not going to make any changes, which I found a little intriguing because special teams
Agreed.
didn't do as well.
That's
if I thought there was going to be one coach that could have been on the hot seat, I thought it was going to be him. But Mickey Loomis told the mass media yesterday in Mobile or on Tuesday or Wednesday that he was that there was going to be no changes.
Do you think that could have been a byproduct of the turnover in the roster? I mean, so many young players on the special teams. You lose JT Gray. I mean, that was a big loss.
You lost Rashid Shaheed. You saw what he did in Seattle.
So I mean, again, that could have been a byproduct of again why they had so many issues on special teams.
Yeah, in the punter situation, is Kai Kroger will probably not be back.
They've been searching for one since Morstead left.
Yeah, that'll go down as one of the bigger mistakes the Saints have made is letting Thomas Morstead go. He's found the fountain of youth and he keeps on rolling.
Did you feel that last year that both guys, Jordan and Davis, really had kind of reached the end of their careers?
I did not. I never felt that way about Davis. I definitely felt that. I felt that way about Jordan before last year, but Davis I didn't. On the special teams topic, that is an area I feel like they maybe should make a change if they're not, because I've had a lot of people tell me, look what they lost with Rashid Shaheed, how especially was. I don't think he would. A great returner needs blocking in front of him, and the Saints special teams were subpar in almost every department this year, and maybe that was first year transition stuff like that. But to me, that would be that is a concern going into next year. For sure.
All right, I'm going to ask about the draft, and most people in New Orleans want Jeremiah Love. That they want a running back. Goes against the grain of what the Saints normally do in the draft. But again, a lot of people out there again comparing signing a Breeze and then drafting a Reggie Bush, right? Your thoughts on again where the Saints go in the draft? We've already established that again they need playmakers.
Yeah, I was all in on Tyler Warren last year in the first round, and that was just me wishful thinking because he had a great season for the Indianapolis Colts. But I understand they needed Calvin Banks Jr. They need somebody to block the blind side. I'm getting all excited about Jeremiah Love, and I'm probably going to be disappointed. That's who I'm going to keep saying the Saints should draft, and they'll probably go against me on that one. But as long as it's a skill position guy, if they get a receiver, I'm totally fine with that. And they've done that before. They have drafted Chris Olave in the first round, but in that same draft, they also did get an offensive lineman, which was a mistake. And now
Trevor Penning is
he's now with the Chargers. So their strike rate on offensive linemen is what, 50-50, 30-70?
Yeah, that's closer.
They've had a lot of misses.
They got a blind spot when it comes to big men. I'm sorry, Jeff Farley talk about that, but again, from defensive linemen to offensive linemen, they've missed more than they've hit.
Yeah, in the 2017 NFL draft, they're getting a lot of play this week. That Sam Darnold is the first quarterback from that draft to get in to the Super Bowl. I was covering that draft. It was at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And I'll never forget when the Saints traded up. They announced the big trade. I thought they were going to get Lamar Jackson. And once again, I'm all excited. They get Marcus Davenport, and that was a total bust. So I've been disappointed a lot of times where I thought the Saints should take a skill position player, a quarterback, wide receiver, and a running back, and I've been disappointed. So I feel like whatever I say, they're going to do the opposite.
Yeah, it's generally not good for him to pick a running back as high as 8. That's just a reality. They don't stay healthy the way the league has gone. I do think Jeremiah Love's a special player, though. So I would not be I don't think they're going to go that direction just because they're going to follow the trends. But I would not be unhappy if they took Jeremiah Love, even though it goes against what you're supposed to do in a draft. Because I think he can be a true difference maker.
Alontae Taylor's another big one this offseason. On what can they afford to re-sign him going forward? Your thoughts on that?
He seemed very excited to kind of see what the market was out there when he talked to the media the last time. That's another one. If the market's right, I would try to get him back in the mix. You like him as a slot corner, and then you can keep Quincy Riley and Kool-Aid McKinstry on the outside. That's another one you're going to have to monitor. DeMario, going to have to monitor Alontae Taylor. Those are ones that could leave in free agency. I think the Saints should want both of those guys back. At least this is the best cap situation the Saints have had in years. I know Mickey Loomis joked about that at his end of the year presser, that Kai Harley is going to have to do the least amount of work he's done in years. The salary cap's not a big problem. I saw Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, was talking about going to Tyler Shuck, in the draft. So I think people now in free agency and the draftees want to play in New Orleans. There's an exciting quarterback. They were in the quarterback wilderness after Drew Brees left. They've gone through a ton of names at quarterback, and I think they've finally found that dude. And I think people around the league are going to want to play in New Orleans now because they have Tyler Shuck, and I think there's a lot of faith out there in him.
I'm going to come back to Shuck in a minute because you had a chance to interview Alontae Taylor. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you're not going to keep everybody. I think I agree with him. The Saints should want to keep him. It's hard to keep everybody. If I had to guess, I think more than likely he won't. I think he'll choose to go somewhere else. So this is the first time the Saints haven't been in cap hell in a long time.
Yeah, no, right.
I mean, just total hell.
Unless, again, Davis and Jordan go elsewhere.
I remember like in 2010, 2011, when people were talking way back then about how the Saints were about to fall apart, and Sean kept it going for a long time, but it's been ages. And they're not going. One of those guys won't be back. Just the reality.
Franchise tag on him around $20 million. Can you afford to give him $20 million for 1 year? That's high.
Yeah.
All right, Tyler Shuck. Again, he's the toast of the town now. Going to be Grand Marshal on Pygmalion. You had a chance to sit down with him. What are your takeaways from that? From talking to Tyler Shuck?
Well, he's staying in New Orleans this offseason. I think a lot of that has to do also with his wife about to have a baby, Jordan, his wife. He says all the right things, okay? And anytime you try to talk about his individual awards or goals, he pushes it back on the team goals. He's very team-oriented. He doesn't like talking about himself that often. I noticed that because I asked him about the Offensive Rookie of the Year award that he's up for next Thursday, the NFL Honors, and he pushed very quickly back onto his team and the team goals. I think it's really cool that the same night that he could find out he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, that's when we're going to find out Drew Brees is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's, of course, it doesn't leak beforehand like the other situations that have leaked. So I think that he says all the right things. He says there's a perfect amount of starts. I asked him directly. I know he's gotten that question numerous times. I'm not breaking any ground here, that he only got 9 starts. He said it was the perfect amount, and I believe him. Maybe he wasn't ready in week 1. No, he said he wanted to compete in week 1. He would have. But the situation was much better for him. Now, we'll say this. The weapons around him at the back end of the season.
Practice squad.
Non-existent.
Yeah. So anybody that says that, like, Spencer Rattler got a raw deal, like, I will push back on those guys quickly and girls quickly. Because for him to have those kind of weapons on the back end of the year is pretty impressive.
It drives me nuts when people they look at numbers, or like the Saints played a weak schedule in the second half of the year, and then they bring. There's no doubt. Watch the games. This guy made baller plays. The one that just comes to mind the most, I'm forgetting. It's 4th down. He's flushed to his left. He's in all kinds of traffic. He just throws this beautiful floater to Jawan Johnson, who's covered pretty well on the sidelines for a first down. I don't care if you're not playing a good team when you're doing that. That's a play that quarterbacks who win make, and that's a play that Spencer Rattler never made. I saw enough in Shuck in 9 games that and I don't think he was ready. I mean, he didn't look very good in the preseason to me. I didn't think he was ready at the beginning of the year, so I don't have any problem with them going with Spencer at the beginning of the year. I think it maybe they should have gone to him a couple of games earlier, but it worked out well, and he's in great position to really explode next year.
There's a lot of similarities between him and Drake May. I mean, you look at their games, their skill set, a lot of it is the same.
The legs, too.
He's got 20 now. May has 29 games under his belt and 3 games in the postseason where Shucks only got 9. But man, you look at both players and you see a lot of what May's attributes are in Shuck. So again, if you're a Saints fan, you ought to be excited about that. I do want to talk about the Hall of Fame for a moment, though. It looks as though Drew Brees is going to be a first ballot, as he should be. It's like Jerry Evans is going to get left out again. Maybe he'll be able to come back again in the next few years. The big controversy right now is Robert Kraft and also Belichick not getting in, and a lot of people are upset about that. I'll just say this. I think those voters are penalizing those 2 individuals for cheating. I think the Spygate, the deflating of the balls, I think, again, have stopped them from going in as first ballot.
Yeah, and I saw an interesting article from one of the gentlemen that votes in the Hall of Fame, was Kansas City writer.
Okay.
He said he picked 3 other players because their time was running out to get into the Hall of Fame. Like, you only get a certain window. Right. And so he went with Roger Craig, Ken Anderson of the Bengals, and I think another former Chiefs player. I think he assumed that all the other voters were just going to take Belichick, and he went with 3 guys that were at the end of the line. So I think you could poke a lot of holes at the voting process. Bill Polian definitely had an axe to grind with this whole situation, with Deflategate, with the Colts situation. So there's definitely some different things at play. I will say this. Was he a good dude? No. Like, horrible individual to the media, to people, in interactions. But it's not about that.
No, it's not.
It's about winning.
Right.
I mean, like, Sean
But it's also about winning without cheating as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why they weren't in the first ballot. He'll get in next year, but I think some of those voters said, you know what? You cheated. Okay, and at the end of the day, yes, you're one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever, but that has to be part of the tail of the tape here.
And I will say, I think there's another issue at play.
Right.
I think some people think he might end up coaching again in the NFL.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it now because it was such a debacle for him in North Carolina. But what if North Carolina has a really good year next year? That's not like completely impossible. I don't think it's going to happen. You think he wouldn't be interested in a team giving him a second chance? And I think some people were a little. Is he really done as a coach? And I think that may have factored in why vote for him when you can vote for other people and he'll get in next year.
Do you think that's a factor in people's voting?
I didn't like that they moved coaches from 5 years to 1 year. Now I understand they're at the back end of their life expectancy, so that's why they did it. But I feel like give some levity to the situation. Give them time. I didn't like that. That just happened within the last year. Was that they went from 5-year buffer to 1 year because the NFL players are 5 years. The New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame is 3 years. Now they did give, I think, a waiver on Drew Brees. They let him in the next year, but he's the greatest. He's the greatest of all time in New Orleans. But I don't like the situation where they did after 1 year. I think it was too close to the situation. They should go back to the 5 years.
Any final thoughts?
I agree with that. I agree it should be about what you did, but I just can't get upset about Bill Belichick not getting an honor he deserves. I mean, he kind of earned it in the way he. I agree that's not what the voting should be about, but the reality is if you treat people like trash, sometimes you're not going to get the rewards you want.
And look, I get it, and I know the way he treated people. It is what it is. They've had far worse people get into the Hall of Fame. For me, it is. And when I saw this, look, you cheated. We don't know how many games that affected. You just got caught. So at that point, there's got to be some kind of penalty for that. You can't. And again, the penalty is you're not a first ballot.
Yeah.
You're deserving, but you're not a first ballot.
Yeah, well, in the Baseball Hall of Fame, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Pete Rose, for other reasons, they're still waiting to get in.
And again, don't get me started on Pete Rose, who should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah.
It is what it is. All right, we will take a break here from our underwriters. We come back. We're jumping into Tulane, LSU, also, again, the Pelicans, all that coming up here on Inside New Orleans Sports. Garland, Gillen of Fox 8 Sports, Gary Smith of NOLA.com are our guests. I'm your host, Eric Asher. We'll be right back.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
Burkhardt Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Garland, Gillen, and Guerry Smith on our panel tonight. All right, guys, we'll start with Tulane, okay, since again, you covered Tulane, and of course, you just got finished interviewing Will Hall.
Yeah.
And let's discuss the transfer portal and how they did in the transfer portal. Take it first.
LSU, obviously, #1 transfer portal class in America. I read Cooper Patagna from 24/7 Sports. He had 3 of the top 5 were from LSU Tigers: Sam Levitt, Princewell, Umam and then Jordan Seaton. The pressure's now on.
But let's talk Tulane first, though.
Oh, we're talking Tulane. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got excited. I got the Tulane. I got LSU.
He's got LSU right in front of him. But you did a chance to talk to Will Hall.
Yeah.
Okay, and Tulane looked like they did fairly well in the portal. Maybe not what we saw last year on the portal, but it looks like they did fairly well in the portal. Your thoughts on the class?
Yeah, Will Hall. Sorry. Yeah, I good interview with Will last week. I'm a little worried about the quarterback situation. That neither one of the quarterbacks started in college football last year. Zion Chris or Samanza. I mean, Samanza didn't get 1 snap for the Tulane football team. The last time he started was at Ball State, and then Zion sat out last year. He got a little garbage time, but Connor Wegman was brought in to take his job. So that is my biggest concern. And they have 3 freshman quarterbacks. They got an early enrollee and 2 redshirt freshmen. So it'll be an intriguing battle. And you could go back 2 years ago, though, when we were talking about Kai Horton going against Ty Thompson, and who comes out of nowhere? Darian Mensah. So I would definitely not shortchange the freshman. So I think it's a wide open battle.
Okay.
I think that Samanza and Chris will get a lot of the headlines, but I think watch those freshmen.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Talk about the quarterback position and then kind of morph into what they did in the portal.
Yeah, first the quarterback position, I share the same concerns, and that's the biggest concern with Will Hall right now, because when he was at Southern Miss, he was a fantastic offensive coordinator at Tulane. In fact, I think he made Willie Fritz's career in some ways at Tulane, because the offense just wasn't good before he brought on Will Hall in 2019. The passing game it was kind of amateurish looking, and then Will Hall came in and really turned it around. But when he went to Southern Miss, he never had a passing attack that ranked better than 96th in the country in his 3.5 years there. He couldn't find a quarterback. And Zion Chris, I've seen him at both Louisiana Lafayette and at Houston, and I wasn't impressed with him in either place. He's a great athlete, but in terms of making good passing decisions and just winning games, he wasn't doing it at either place. So I'm concerned there. Caden Samanza, he's got a lot of intangibles. I just wasn't that impressed with him when I watched him play in the spring and in fall practice. Yes. Obviously, there's the example from 2 years ago of a redshirt freshman turning great, but that's an outlier. You usually don't have a guy who's never played in college come in, and I agree with Garland. It's going to be wide open. All of those guys are going to have a chance, but to me, that's clearly the biggest concern for this team is whether they can find a quarterback.
They retain, according to y'all, 40 to 50 players, right? So again, it wasn't like they had to go in the transfer portal and get a lot of players, but the players they lost were significant.
Yeah, but that's just the reality, and they did better. Again, some Tulane fans are upset because they're looking at the national rankings where Tulane's near the bottom of the American in terms of the portal ratings, but that's a volume thing. Memphis, North Texas lost like their whole rosters basically when their coaches left. Tulane retained a ton of key guys.
Right.
They retained Dixon Agu. They retained Chris Rogers. They retained Jack Chienchu. They retained Jamari McClure. They're not having to totally rebuild like these other teams that replaced their coaches are, so they didn't have to pursue as many guys in the portal to just start over with a roster. So I think they did pretty well in the portal considering what they were looking to do, and they loaded up on some quality running backs. They've already got Jamari McClure, and the other running backs they got I'm pretty impressed with. So again, quarterback's an important position,
right.
obviously. That's my big concern. Other than that, I'm pretty impressed with what they did.
15 total commits for Tulane. You mentioned again the quarterback position, but again, once again, dipping into that pool where again Louisiana players come back, they get a second shot to play, and Tulane takes advantage of those players.
Yeah, Destin Hill, I covered at Edna Carr,
Right.
and then he went to Florida State, kind of disappeared for a little while,
Right.
went to LSU last year, dealt with injury problems there, so he's now back in New Orleans. The wide receiver position is very wide open also. There's not a lot of guys with a ton of catches out there. And then Jalen Lucas also went to Edna Carr for his senior year. He was at Terrebonne before Hurricane Ida hit, and then he transferred to New Orleans. So yeah, he went to Indiana, looked really good, went to Florida State, so now he's back in New Orleans. So you like those guys. They got 3 Edna Carr players on the roster. They got the receiver already on there. So when you got Edna Carr guys, you're in a good shape.
Yeah.
Both you guys have covered Will Hall before, okay? But now you're covering him as a head coach. Your impressions of Will Hall? Can he get the job done?
He said he's a winner everywhere he goes, but I posted that video on X, and a lot of Southern Miss fans chimed in very quickly. I think that at Southern Miss, there's some definite problems there, especially with getting NIL money. I mean, look at the last coach who was just there. He was only there 1 year. He got the heck out of there and went to Memphis. Yes. So there are some probably structure issues there, athletic program issues at Southern Miss. Also, Brian Kelly took his starting quarterback away from him because he thought he was going to get Miles Brennan.
Right.
Miles Brennan was in the car coming to Hattiesburg for his final year, and then Brian Kelly convinced him to come back and get in a battle with Jaden Daniels. Guess what? Jaden Daniels won that battle. So that meant that Will Hall had to start Frank Gore Jr. quarterback that season instead of a Miles Brennan, who I thought would have really shined in that offense.
Right.
So some things did go against him at Southern Miss, but everywhere else he was a winner. And this program is set up for success, and there's only like 5 or 6, 7 teams in the group of 6 now, since we could put Pac-12 in there.
Right.
There's only a handful of teams in the group of 6 that have a legitimate shot to get into the college football playoff, and I think Tulane is one of those teams every year now.
And of course, the CFP rules have changed in terms of, again, the group of 6 now. You don't have to be a champion now to be, again, in the college football playoff. It's the highest ranked team, regardless whether you won a championship or not. I'll take your thoughts on Will Hall.
Yeah, Will Hall. Look, his record at Southern Miss is a concern. That's just a fact. He really struggled there. I was really surprised. He seemed like the perfect fit. I do think the whole NIL thing caught him a little off guard. I've had some Southern Miss people bite back on me about that, saying that actually they're well positioned in the league. You can learn from your mistakes. He obviously made some mistakes there. You don't have the record that he had without making mistakes. He had proven he could win as a head football coach at the Division II level everywhere he'd been before he came to Tulane. It's all about, did he learn? Does he know what he did wrong at Southern Miss, and can he fix those in a much better situation where you're set up to win? Now look, there's a lot of pressure on him this year because it's not easy to repeat. Tulane's done it 4 straight years. There's a reason they're the only team that's ever made a conference championship 4 straight years. And as great a coach as John Sumrall is, he wasn't getting to any championship game if he hadn't had a quarterback fall into his lap before the start of the season.
That's right.
I think this would have been like a 7-5 team, and probably John Sumrall might still be Tulane's coach. But the expectation for Will Hall is going to be, if you don't make the conference championship next year, people are going to be disappointed. I think he has the internal confidence to handle that, but yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
Things have never been better at Tulane in my lifetime, okay, in terms of, again, David Harris just came out, wrote a letter to again, everyone about, again, what's going on with the facilities at Tulane, the donations to Tulane right now for the athletic department. They're on solid footing right now.
Yeah, the program's in as good shape as it's been, because, again, if this whole NIL thing had come along about 10 years ago, Tulane would have cratered in the worst possible way, because they weren't prepared for any of that, and they were now when it came,
right.
And yeah, they're in good shape, and,
right.
And it was, look, this was a program for 20 years. They were bottom 10% in college football consistently. They were completely uncompetitive in Conference USA for most of their tenure there. And again, we're talking about a team that's made 4 straight conference championship games, which no other team in their league has ever done.
Well, LSU doesn't have a problem with money. The portal king is the portal king. And it's funny, I did some research on him at Ole Miss and how he turned his roster over 30%, 40%, the 70% the last year. But every year he got better. Every year that program got better when he was there. So he knows how to traverse the transfer portal. And in today's college football, you're going to have, well, college athletics, you're going to have to be able to do that. Your thoughts on Lane Kiffin and what he has done so far? This portal class is just, I mean, if these guys can mesh as a team, this could be a juggernaut. Yeah, and to go a smooth transition from Tulane LSU, John Summerall welcomed 60 new players on his roster last year. LSU is going to welcome like 58 or 59 new players, so it's very close. Now, winning American Conference Championship and SEC Championship, it's totally different, but they're in the same boat here. It's a total flip of the roster. It's going to be intriguing when spring ball comes around in March, that Sam Levitt is still recovering from a Liz Frank injury, so you'll see more of Husan Longstreet and Landon Clark in spring ball. But you get to see Jordan Seaton out there. They need. We talk about the guard positions for the New Orleans Saints. They need to fix the guard positions on both sides. And Weston Davis is probably going to be back at right tackle. His PFF grade was terrible last year, but Lane Kiffin and those guys got him back in the fold. So you got Braylon Moore at center, you got Jordan Seaton. They're going to figure out the guard situations. I think the offensive lineman from Maryland will probably take that right guard spot. So I think the left guard spot is the one to keep an eye on. Do you like? I mean, is there a weakness in this portal class? Because I don't see it. I mean, at this point. I mean, again, you talk about what he did at almost every position. I mean, he's got wide receivers galore. He really finished strong on the offensive line. You look at the running back position. There are some running backs in there that, again, the kid from Wisconsin looks like he might be a pretty good player. What are your thoughts? Got one for you. Interior defensive line. Okay. Dominic McKinley has underperformed in his 2 years. He's been at LSU. He came from Acadiana. So you got two unproven guys, Malik Blockton and Steph and Green out of Clemson. Those guys are going to be in the mix on the defensive line. Now that you have Princewell, Umamielen, I think you're better off at edge. Gabe Relaford, kind of a disappointment also last year. He came out of Evangel. He's dealing with an injury. So after that, you got Jordan Ross, who I think might start opposite Umamielen. So maybe you can go edge, and then you can go interior line, but then cornerback you already locked in. You already got your two dudes, okay? Right. You have P.J. Woodland, and you got the freshman DJ Pickett on those sides. The safety position, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with Deshaun Spears, Ty Benefield, this guy from Boise State, and then Tamarcus Cooley. Like, what are they going to do with those three guys? Are two going to play safety, and then there's one pushes up the star? Is that going to be Benefield? Is that going to be Spears? So that's something I'm intrigued, because Ty Benefield, if you go on YouTube, he has an insane amount of like death-defying hits where he's knocking people out, but he also had like 20 missed tackles last year, so that is a concern. So cornerback, I think they're set. Linebacker, loaded a linebacker between Whit Weeks, TJ Daugherty, and then Devon Keys. But Whit missed a lot of time last year. So if Whit has still injury concerns, you got Daugherty out of Ole Miss, and then you got Devon Keys coming back.
Yeah, I mean, Lane Kiffin's a portal master. We saw this at Ole Miss. Not as much this year. Last year's roster, the 2024 roster, that was as talented a team as there is in the country. When people are talking about he had to go to LSU to get to win a national championship, he proved he can win. He can get the players wherever he's coaching. So if he could do that at Ole Miss, you put him in LSU. And remember that week where it looked like he might not get any of his quarterbacks he wanted? Oh gosh, yes. That didn't happen. That kind of worked out, and then everything else fell into place. The next step for him is he's got to prove it that he can win championships with what he has. But A+ for what he's done to this point. Yeah. A lot of pressure on him now. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh, the floor is the playoff. The floor. Yeah. If they don't make that college football playoff next year, it will be extremely disappointing. They expect to make the playoff and compete for a national championship.
And that is reality now, because guess what? Kurt Cignetti in the first year at Indiana got them into the playoff with a bunch of dudes from James Madison.
Right.
Like a lot of those guys came from James Madison. It wasn't a bunch of 5- and 4-star guys. So now he's made it tough on everybody. John Summerall is expected to have great success in year one because of what happened with Kurt Cignetti. So I think it definitely has put a target on all these new coaches. And the schedule is extremely tough, especially in November, when you're at home against Alabama, then you're at home against Texas, then you go on the road at Tennessee, and then you're on the road at Arkansas. And in the front end of the season, they should smoke Clemson in week 1. I think Clemson's got a lot of problems, but week 3 in Oxford is going to be a snake pit. It's going to be an absolute snake pit. And then right after that, they come home and play A&M, who has Marcel Reed coming back. So it is an extremely tough schedule. The over-under win total at FanDuel is already up. It's 9.5 games, which I think is a smart move by the sports book, because you're going to get a lot of action on both sides. So you're going to get a lot of lane haters that are going to take the under, and then you're going to take a lot of people that think the portal king can bring them to the playoff.
Follow up your thoughts on how he did.
My concern with Lane Kiffin in the past was, did he maximize the talent he had? Because Ole Miss 2 years ago should have made the college football. They were loaded and they blew it. And he fixed that this year. And sources I've talked to, he really has matured. Maybe not off the field necessarily, but as a coach and the way he handles things, he's really matured, and he's a much better coach than he was earlier in his career. But he still has a lot to prove in that area. And we didn't get to see what he could do in a playoff this year, because Ole Miss made a great run in the playoffs, but that was without him. And like Garland said, there is a lot of pressure on him next year, because I don't know if there's ever been a coach that entered a situation where the floor was as high, what it's expected as it is for him going into his first year at LSU.
And then the other thing is, again, for a state that is considered a poor state, to have the type of money that has been given from donors to the LSU program to be able to build that program back into a national championship program, I mean, you almost got to shake your head at it. But again, that puts even more pressure on him. Again, when you start talking about the donors that said, look, we're pledging $25 million if you sign on the dotted line. And of course, some are saying they spent $30 to $35 million in this portal.
Eric, Gary, you and me, we're funding LSU's transfer portal every time we go to Raising Cane's and get a chicken finger box. Todd Graves is giving more money than people realize. He keeps it on the low key. I know that Gordon McKernan is the guy that's out front. Brandon Walker, who owns Walk-Ons, is out. Brandon Landry is out there. But you have one of the richest people in the world living in Louisiana, in Todd Graves. Now, Todd Graves has houses in different places now, but he's worth $22 billion. So, yes, we are a poor state, but we have some guys with a ton of money, including Ben Bordelon, who is the CEO of Bollinger Shipyards. So on the front end, we got some rich dudes.
And they care about football a little bit.
Well, Ben Bordelon, big everybody's got kids there, right? But also, again, he's a legacy player as well. Well, again, speaking of Raising Cane's and Todd Graves, everybody talks about the future of the New Orleans Saints and New Orleans Pelicans. If there's only one person in this state that can buy those teams, and it's Graves. There's only one person. There's no one else that has that kind of money. He's the only one.
Like I always hear about like the Manning family getting involved, but they would have to have some other guys come in. Peyton and Eli, they got some cash. Okay.
But not that kind of cash.
No, they're not worth $10 billion, okay? So they could be the faces of the, like out front. But yes, Todd Graves is that guy. But Gail Benson's been very outspoken that she's not selling either one of these teams until she meets her maker. So, I got to take her on her word.
Well, we'll take it on her word. But again, if everybody's talking about all, like you said, the man, there's only one. And it's Graves. And let's hope, again, he doesn't go to his grave and he's around, okay? So that, again, those teams will stay in New Orleans. Okay, now let's get to the Pelicans, which, again, is at 12-37, a disaster. All right, trading deadline is on next Thursday. A lot of rumors out there. Will Guerry today just said that Jordan Poole has been kind of taken out the rotation now. They're trying to trade him. Again, he's got a $34 million expiring contract next year. You got a situation with DeJounte Murray, $68 million on his contract. Plus, again, he's got a player option for about $30 million in the third year. Those are two guys that right now they're dangling to try to get rid of. The problem is at this point, the Pelicans do not have second-round picks. They are devoid of picks between what Weaver and Dumars did in this offseason and what Griffin did during his tenure. It bankrupted them in terms of picks. They have, again, they have little or no picks. What a lot of people don't realize is they look at that 2027 Bucks pick that everybody thinks is going that they have. No, they don't have that. That goes to Atlanta next year, depending on again how things play out on a pick swap. So again, they are devoid of picks. There's a lot of talk out there. They may be trading some of the players like Misi and others to try to pick up second-round picks. How do you think Dumars and Weaver approaches the deadline?
Those guys, I mean, Jordan Poole has gotten DNPs the last two games in a row.
Right. Bad deal.
Yeah. But I will say this.
Oh, Bay's been great.
You could almost argue, and I brought this up in the Fox 8 Sports Department, is it still a good trade because you got Sadiq Bey, who I think is an untouchable right now.
He better be.
Yeah. I think he's
$6 million again next year, $6 million expiring deal, but still, he's so inexpensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I think even if you take Jordan Poole out of this, Sadiq Bey for C.J. McCollum, at the time looked like a terrible trade because Sadiq Bey was coming off an injury. But now Sadiq Bey is very important to this roster. He's one of the best players on the team. I would think Poole, DeJounte Murray, like, what's the deal with DeJounte Murray? I thought he'd be back by now. Yeah, and he was complaining this offseason in a podcast about he didn't get enough like time with the trainers. Like, I think he's making up excuses. Jose Alvarado might be another person on the out. I'm fine with all these people we're talking about trading.
Trade them?
I said it before the break. Sadiq Bey, the two rookies,
Queen and Fierce,
not counting Peavy, if you put the other ones, and then Trey Murphy III.
Okay.
Everybody else, I think, is up for trade.
All right. Alvarado's probably gone because he has an expiring contract. It's a player option, so he's not going to take the player option. He's going to get on the open market. When you look at where they are right now, your thoughts? Should they be moving off some of their players that are fringe players that are guys like Misi, Hawkins? I got no problem with you moving off from. But again, guys like that to try to pick up second-round picks to attach to a deal so they can get rid of Poole, so they get rid of Murray.
Well, beginning of the show, I mentioned I was a charter member of the Saints Negativity Club. I've totally changed my tune on them. I haven't changed my tune on the Falcons at all. I honestly don't think any of that stuff matters that much. They're in a bad way. Their star player you can't win with. They're gonna have to get rid of him at some point because it's been on Zion. You can't trust him, and forget anything about what his mental makeup is. When you've got a body like him, you're just built to get injured all the time. And he's also one-dimensional. He's a great scorer, but he's not a great all-around player in my opinion to make it worth giving him his 8th chance down the road. So you start there. The other parts, second-round draft picks don't usually pan out in the NBA. I don't really think it matters that much what they do. To me, they're in a world of hurt. Even the good moves that they make. Derek Queen, they were right about Derek Queen, but they gave up. You can't do what you did. You can't do what you did to get him. So even when they're right about something, they're wrong. And those are the people in place here, and they've got to go against their own track record to make me convinced that anything's going in the right direction.
By the way, that Bucks pick was David Griffin in the DeJounte Murray trade, where he traded that last Laker pick and the Bucks pick for DeJounte Murray. To me, Zion in July, you're going to get more from him than you would at this trading deadline. Matter of fact, I think most of the players, with the exception of maybe Poole and Murray, you'll get more for them if you want to trade in July. I think that, again, they have to use patience because they were reckless in the draft in this upcoming trading deadline. There was a time when I felt like you needed to blow it up and just trade everybody. But right now, when you start looking at the future, and if you're going to build around Murphy, Queen, if you're going to build around Fee, years, you could look at a Herb Jones and maybe at the end of the season, maybe look to trade him. You can look at a Zion and trading him. But I think right now, the market for those players, you're going to be giving them away and you're going to get pennies on a dollar. Where again, in July, where teams have more cap room, they're more willing to be able to move off of players, you may get a better deal there.
Well, you might have teams that are desperate to make the playoffs also, though.
Right.
And Zion is healthy right now,
yes, he is.
which is very rare.
He's playing better than he's ever played in New Orleans.
Yeah, so maybe not pennies, maybe 50 cents on the dollar right now. But there's some desperate teams out there, like a Warriors team who Steph Curry's not getting any younger.
They want Murphy bad.
Yeah, and they have a lot of needs. There's some teams that think that in their own mind think they have a shot at making the playoffs. So maybe the Pelicans can take advantage of that in the summertime. Maybe people have more time, to break it down. But now you're like desperation mode.
Frenzy.
So maybe this is where the Pelicans pounce.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Whatever gets the most value is because I do think they need to. There's hardly anybody on the roster that
you need to hold on to.
That you need to hold on to.
Right.
So it's totally dependent on what gets you the most value.
Yeah. But I'm not giving away players that, again, like Misi's, you can see Misi again, he's starting to really kind of come around. He's only been playing basketball since 2020.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to give that guy around giving him up for a bunch of second-round picks, to me, again, you're not getting value there. And I think right now, based on what you did and the mistakes that were made by Weaver and Dumars, again, in the beginning of their tenure with wasting draft picks, what Griffin did in bankrupting this team in terms of draft picks, I think you got to tread a little lightly when you go into the trade deadline. Everybody can say blow it up, give this player away, that player away. I think again the albatross right now is the Murray and also the Poole contracts. Those are the two that if you can get rid of those guys, again, that would help. Now Rich Paul came out recently. He's trying to get Murray out of here again. Which is fine with me at this point. But at the same time, again, you have to get value for those guys. You have to get some type of value for the players you're getting. I just can't be giving them away for second-round picks.
Yeah, who's dying to get DeJounte Murray on their roster right now?
Why is he not? Why has it been top secret on where he is in terms of rehabilitation?
Yeah, because he's not here.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's the deal?
I saw him taping a Seahawks video on X because he's from Seattle.
Right.
So he was taping a hype video for the Seahawks in the playoffs. So I'm like, wait, what? Your owner owns the New Orleans Saints. I don't know, you should be doing Seahawks hype videos, but I think that maybe that was an idea to get him out of here quicker to kind of maybe make the owner mad.
All right, you think last question, you think they'll be active? You think they'll be very
I
active?
hope so. Okay. Sometimes I always say, people tell me, oh, you were wrong about this. And I say, no. I wasn't wrong. I was right. The organization was wrong, okay? That's one where I say that they should be.
You say blow it up at the trade deadline.
No, not blow it up. Right. I want to keep those core four.
I'll get the core.
Yeah.
You got to hold on to the core.
This team did beat the Spurs the other day.
Right.
They won 2 out of 3 on a road trip. The Thunder game, Thunder's one of the best teams in the NBA. Right. They didn't get blown out of the building by the Thunder.
They didn't.
So they have some nice pieces. This isn't a team that's given up on the season there. No, I'm not saying blow it up. But I'd like to get some draft picks back. I'd like to be busy in June talking about the NBA draft. Right now, we are not talking about the draft.
No, you're not. And that's one of the things that, again, that reports are Weaver and Dumars want to get back in this 2026 draft. Even if it's outside the lottery, they want to get back into it because this draft is so good. Best draft since 2003. And of course, they had a chance at 3 lottery picks, and they gave them all up. You got the last word.
They're 10-27 under Borrego. There's nothing going good for this team. They're definitely competing more. They're not getting blown out like they were before. But it doesn't matter when you're 10-27. I just don't. I mean, I'd even go as far as I don't even think Jeremy Fears is untouchable. I mean, Fears is untouchable to them, but I don't. I'm not sure about his long term. He's not a great outside shooter, and that's what the NBA is these days. He does a lot of things well.
So if Weavers and Dumars came to you today and said, Gary, what should we do? You're saying get what you can get at the trade deadline.
Get what you can get at the trade deadline, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm on the opposite. Yeah. Again, I think they can get more for these players in July than now. But again, there are a lot of people who believe they're going to blow this thing up within the next week. So we'll see how it plays out.
And they don't have enough of a track record in New Orleans yet for us to know what they're going to do.
The track record right now is, again, even though everybody loves Queen and Fears, again, you made a serious mistake by giving up all those picks.
No doubt.
There's no doubt about that. Gary Smith, Garland, Gillen, thanks so much for joining us here tonight on Inside New Orleans Sports. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. There's a QR code on your screen that will take you to WLAE-TV YouTube channel and my website, ericasher.com. And I say it every week. We're so blessed with so many ways to catch our program. Set your DVR, you'll never miss the show. WLAE-TV, WLAE-TV2, also known as Encore, Pelican Sports Television, and of course the WLAE-TV YouTube channel are ways to catch the program each and every week. You can catch me on the radio, 106.7 The Ticket, 4 to 6 weekdays. You can listen live at ericasher.com, 106.7 The Ticket, also as a stream on their website. We have an app. 106.7 The Ticket app is available for you at your app store, iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app, and the digital platforms to take the show with you everywhere. I want to thank the underwriters who make this show possible. We appreciate each and every one of our underwriters. Thanks to those underwriters. Please support our underwriters. And the folks here at WLAE-TV who do a great job in producing our program each and every week. Rod Yeager, Jim Dotson, Alex Chacon, the best director on the planet, William Hill. For Garland and also Guerry, I'm Eric. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. Thanks for watching.
Midwestern flair meets mouth-watering flavor.
Welcome to St. Louis, where the music is blue and the barbecue is always red hot.
Join Stephen Reichland for bold new dishes and big-name guests.
Don't miss an all-new season of Project Fire.
Saturdays at 1:30 p.m. We're local and educational. You're watching WLAE-TV, celebrating 40 years of New Orleans public